Okay, Holden Commodore 2018 with the battery that keeps going flat. This one turned out to be a fuel pump driver control module fault. So a fuel pump fault with the driver control module. It came in for the battery going flat, but that's actually the fault we found. That fault can also cause other drivability issues, and it is quite common. So you need to scan it for a fault code, and if you have any fault code that mentions that fuel pump driver control module, check out this video right through. We will start by just showing you the process, how we went from a battery going flat all the time really quickly to diagnosing this fault and repairing it. Okay, check it out. Okay, today we have got a Holden Commodore ZB with the battery going flat all the time. This has already been to an auto sparky and they couldn't find anything, which that's the story anyway. I'm pretty surprised about that because this was just dead flat after coming off the tow truck. And when I put the jump pack on, it sparked, which indicates that there is definitely draw off somewhere. So just a side note, if it's locked and you can't get in, you've just got to slide the key out the bottom. There's a little button on the side there to release it, and on your driver's door you will get a little plastic cover. Just flick that off with a plastic tool and then you can unlock. Okay, so we're going to check this out and find out what's going on. There's all sorts of other issues with CAN bus, etc. apparently, but we're going to scan it first, see what's going on there, and then we're going to do a draw off. Okay, so we have a bunch of fault codes. They're pretty much all lost communication codes, which is likely just caused by the flat battery. So we're going to tackle why the battery's going flat first and then see what happens with everything else. So we're going to come and disconnect the battery here. So if you just loosen off this 10mm bolt, it will loosen the clamp there so that we can disconnect that cable. But just when I disconnected it, I noticed a change in sound. And if we come under here, it sounds like we've got a fuel pump running. Okay. So when I disconnect it, obviously that noise stops. So that just gives me an idea that may be a potential issue. Which then I will need to find out why that's running. But we are just going to confirm the draw off, and then what we'll do is we'll find the fuel pump fuse, pull that, and just confirm that that is the issue. Okay, so to perform our draw off test, we've got our cable disconnected here. Alright, I've got my positive lead of the multimeter clamped onto the positive terminal, and then that's running, and my negative basically is connected to the positive terminal here, so that our multimeter is in line. We are on amps DC, and you normally on most multimeters have to change the cable over. Okay, what we are looking for on a draw off test is 0.03 of an amp. So anything above that is too much draw off. So this is currently very high. What you need to do on a draw off test is leave it to sit for a good 20 minutes because some things, as time goes on, they will drop down further and further just as more systems switch off. But we've still got that fuel pump running, which is drawing at 7 amps. So that is definitely a fault that we need to be looking at. So what we'll do is we'll find a fuse or something to pull so we can kill that fuel pump, and then make sure that our draw off drops right down. So I can see on here I've got a fuel module 36, okay, which lines up to this 20 amp fuse here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to disconnect my cable before I pull that out, just for the sake of electronics, that I don't spike it. So I'm just going to pull that fuse out and then I'm going to reconnect, and let's see what happens when I find where I just put that cable. Okay, so now we've dropped down to about 3.5, but see it's getting lower and lower. Let's just make sure the noise is gone. Yep, so no noise under there now. And this is sort of what you should see happen, is that we start higher and then we get lower and lower, down to 0.01. Okay, so now we need to find out what is going wrong with this fuel module to cause this issue. Is it that the fuel module itself is faulty and it's telling the pump to run when it shouldn't? Is there a problem with a pressure sensor or something like that? Without the key on, the pump really shouldn't be running, so I'm thinking it's more something to do with the module. But yeah, let's check it out. Okay, so remember we said we had a bunch of communication codes. In the engine, the code is actually lost communications with fuel pump driver control module. Okay, so we need to find out what's going on there. That is a U18A2 code. Here's a note. Fuel pump is still running. When I come into my live data for my engine, fuel pump enable command off. Okay, so that tells me that it is being commanded not to be running. Just see if we start it up. Let's see what that does. Alright, oh yep, there you go, fuel pump enable on with it running, okay. So that's when it's asking to run. If I switch it off, and it goes off. Okay, so that fuel pump is running with the vehicle off, even though it's not being told to. Okay, so just the other note here is that the fuel gauge, so the fuel light is flashing and the fuel gauge is reading 0. Ignition's not turned on at the moment, and in the scan tool it's reading as 0, but it actually has fuel in it. The customer assures us that they've put fuel in it, and that gauge is not reading. Okay. Sorry, I'm working outside here, but we're now in our active test for the fuel pump. Okay, so we're telling it to be off. It's still running. And just to confirm, that is our fuel pump that we can hear. We click on. Nothing changes, it's still that same noise. Okay, so looking at that code for loss of communication with the fuel pump driver control module, this is what we're sort of going after now. So we can see our wiring here. This is the wiring that goes to the top of the fuel tank for the pump. Okay, and follow it back up around here, comes to this control module here. Okay, and if I put my hand on that, that is absolutely cooking hot. Like, you can't leave your hand on it, it's that hot. So I should say that is where our fault is, in that control unit. Okay, so we've got our new unit going in now. So if you have the four-wheel drive model, you will have a bunch of other stuff in the way that you're going to have to work around. Luckily we've got a front-wheel drive model, so we don't have to fight all that. But you've basically got your two 10mm mounting bolts either side, and then if you undo those, pull them down on the plug, then you can get the plug off. So just lift that red tab up, and then push that one in to release it. And then just like any other ECU plug, as you arc this up, it will pull the plug out. Okay, so we're just going to chuck this new one in, mount it back up, and then we're clearing codes. Okay, we're all mounted back in there now, so you can see your mounting bolts there and there, plug up there, but it's easier to pull it down first to do that. Just a note too that we have the battery disconnected while we're doing this, because we don't want to spike either this control module or another one as we plug and unplug that unit. Okay, and just re-checking that draw off. Now with the fuel pump, new fuel pump control module and everything connected, and we're going between 0.00 and 0.01 of an amp draw off, so we know that our battery going flat issue is fixed. We've also of course charged the battery to make sure it's all back up with a full charge. You can't rely just on the alternator if you've had a dead flat battery. You need to put it on a proper charger, so that's done as well. Okay, so now we've been for a big long drive. We've got our fuel gauge working again. Before that was right on the 0 with the light flashing with the old control module. We did an auto scan, cleared all the codes before our drive, and then another full system scan afterwards, and we are all clear. So yeah, if you've got a Holden Commodore with a fuel pump driver control module, or a fuel pump fault, maybe you suspect a fuel pump fault because of the way it's performing, or if you have a battery going flat in your Holden Commodore. This is a 2018, so this is the ZB model, which is like 2018, 2019, 2020, maybe 21, I forget. Might be like 21, 22, something like that. But yep, that's what you need to look at. Check out that fuel pump driver control module. Okay, hope this has helped you out.
Okay, I hope that has helped you out today. Don't forget to click the like button and also click the subscribe while you're there. We've got a bunch of diagnostic solutions and tips and tricks for professional mechanics like ourselves, and also for the serious DIYers at home. So click that subscribe and the bell so you get notified, and we will see you in the next video.